Hi again, everybody. So in our video palooza that is today, this is your third video. It covers Grammar 5.3 from Capítulo 5, in which we're going to be using the direct object pronouns lo, la, los, and las. And you're going to be word order. You're going to want to be on textbook page 158 for this. All right, we're going to start with some background information. Spanish is what's known as a VO language. That is, the most important relationship in any Spanish sentence is not between the subject and the verb, as in English, but rather between the verb and its direct object. Okay? This is also why Spanish is known as a pro-drop language, as I've discussed with you before. That is, it drops its subject nouns and pronouns whenever possible, because they're just not that important syntactically speaking, okay? So let's define a direct object. A direct object is a noun that follows the verb and answers the question, what, with respect to the main action of the verb. And this is particularly true for the four direct object pronouns we're going to be dealing with today, lo, la, los, las, okay? So one more time, a direct object noun is one that follows the verb and answers the question, what, with respect to the main action of that verb. Note that only transitive verbs take direct objects, okay? This is very important for future studies in the language. There are also intransitive verbs. Those cannot be directly followed by a noun. An example of an intransitive verb that we already know is estar. If you think about it, estar is never directly followed by a noun. It's always followed by a preposition like en or de, or an adjective like emocionada, or an adverb like bien, but never directly with a noun. And that's because of its nature. It's intransitive. In the rest of this presentation, this video, we're going to be talking about transitive verbs. Those are verbs that take direct objects. So we're going to start in English. And in the transitive verb sentence that follow, the direct object noun, is bolded in red. So let's look at English transitive verb sentences. Here's one. When I click on it, and here's our word order, by the way. English word order is subject, verb, direct object, which we're always going to shorten to DO, okay? So here's our structure. This sentence, I follow instructions. The subject is I, the verb is follow, and the direct object is the noun instructions, okay? Here's another example. You watch the program. In this sentence, right, this transitive verb sentence, our subject is you, our verb is watch, and the direct object is program. This is our direct object noun. Let's continue. So, in these sentences, the red bolded direct object noun answers the question, what, with respect to the action of the verb. So we have this sentence, I follow instructions, where the direct object is instructions. And that answers the question, follow what? Instructions, right? We also have this sample sentence, words, you watch the program, right? Where our direct object is program. And that answers the question, watch what? Yes, the program. That's what direct objects do. They answer the question, what, with respect to the action of the verb. And that's what we're seeing on this slide. So let's take a look at transitive verb sentences in Spanish. These are the exact same two sentences we just saw, but in Spanish. So here's the first one. Yo sigo las instrucciones. And as I just told you, it's totally fine to drop the subject pronoun yo here. It's normal, but I'm putting it in there because we have a subject placeholder. At any rate, notice that the word order is the same. Subject first, then that's yo, then verb, that's sigo, and then our direct object noun, instrucciones, right? In these sentences, the red bolded direct object noun answers the question ¿qué? That's Spanish for what, with respect to the action of the verb. So, ¿qué sigo? Direct object noun answers. Las instrucciones, right? Let's look at another sample sentence. This is the same one as our second English example. Tú miras el programa. And again, the subject pronoun tú can totally be dropped. Spanish is a pro-drop language, and unquestionably the subject of miras is tú. But just to show you that the syntax can be parallel, I'll keep it here. So our subject in the sentence, if it would just highlight correctly, is tú. Our verb is miras, and our direct object is el programa. Got it? And of course, that el programa answers the question, ¿qué miras? ¿Qué miras? El programa, right? Direct objects do this. They answer the question, what? With respect to the object, to the action of the verb. ¿Qué miras? Direct object noun answers el programa. All right? All right. So let's talk about transitive verb sentences, direct objects, and repetition. Let's imagine that we're carrying on a conversation and it's about instructions, because instructions is also a cognate in Spanish. And we're going to do this in English first. And note that all our direct object nouns here are bolded in red. All right, so let's imagine that I say, I follow instructions. You follow instructions too, right? And you say, no, I don't follow instructions. I don't understand instructions. And I say, you need to understand instructions. And you say, I don't want to read the instructions. In all cases, again, instructions is the direct object of the verb that precedes it, and it answers the questions, follow what? Understand what? Need to understand what? And read what, right? You can see that in each of the sentences here. This is what direct objects do. They answer the question, what? With respect to the action of the verb, as in, follow what? Instructions. But notice how excruciatingly repetitive that was? That hurt, right? We have a solution for this. After the direct object noun, instructions, is established in the first sentence, what we do is replace it with a direct object pronoun in the sentences that follow. We do this without even thinking about it in English. So in our new conversation, the direct object pronouns that are replacing our direct object noun instructions are bolded in red. Let's have a look at that. So I say, I follow instructions. You follow them too, right? Them is our direct object pronoun that's taking the place of the noun instructions. You say, no, I don't follow them. I don't understand them. Them keeps replacing its antecedent. That's what this is called. That's the noun that it is taking the place of. That's what pronouns do. They take the place of nouns, right? This is the noun it's taking the place of. And then I say, you need to understand them. And of course, this them is still replacing instructions. And then finally, you say, I don't want to read them. Them is still taking the place of instructions. In English, we do this without thinking. It's our first language, right? It's natural. This happens in Spanish too. Hang on, guys. I need a sip of coffee before my voice starts getting all weird. Oh, that's better. But there are two main differences between direct object pronouns in Spanish and English. In Spanish, the direct object pronoun directly precedes the verb, the conjugated verb to be precise. As we just saw in our other sentences, in English, direct object pronouns go after the verb. Now, if there is a verb in infinitive or a present participle, it's a gerund, we're going to see those in capítulo 6. In the Spanish sentence, you can attach the direct object pronoun to the end of the infinitive or the present participle, but this is not advisable for our purposes in this course. For now, always put the direct object pronoun directly in front of the conjugated verb. It will never be wrong when you put it there, okay? And remember, this is not the same word order as in English. Also in Spanish, the direct object pronoun must agree with the noun it replaces, again, which is called its antecedent, in both gender and in number. Okay? In English, like we just saw with them, only number agreement is necessary. We use them to replace instructions because instructions is a plural noun. If it were the singular noun instruction, we would have used the singular direct object pronoun it, okay? But it's not, so we didn't. And in Spanish, we don't only have to make our direct object pronoun agree in number, it has to agree in gender as well. And don't worry, we're going to see plenty more about this. So let's take just the first line of the conversation we just saw and do it in Spanish. And note that in both languages, first the direct object noun and then the direct object pronoun that replaces it are bolded in red. So here we were in English, right? I follow instructions. Instructions is our direct object noun. And then I said, you follow them too, right? And them is our direct object pronoun. It takes the place of instructions. So let's see this in Spanish. In Spanish, our sentence is, yo sigo las instrucciones. The next sentence was, tú las sigues también, ¿no? Right? And this is literally the same thing. So notice the word order. When we have our direct object noun, right, it's the same in English and Spanish. Subject, yo, verb, sigo, direct object noun, las instrucciones. But when we replace our direct object noun, instrucciones, with the pronoun that agrees with it in both gender and in number, instrucciones is feminine and plural, what happens then? Then the word order is different. Let's look in English. Our word order here is subject, verb, direct object pronoun. Guess what, folks? English isn't Spanish. And the sooner you accept that this semester, the better off you'll be. Our word order is different now. Now it's subject, which again we can drop, but we're keeping here just for the sake of parallelism. Sorry. Subject, then direct object pronoun, and that is located directly before the conjugated verb. So here in English, subject, verb, direct object pronoun. Spanish, subject, direct object pronoun, verb. Okay? Spanish is not English. This is a key difference. And here it is broken down for you again, right? What we just talked about. English puts the direct object pronoun after the verb. Spanish puts the direct object pronoun before the conjugated verb. And this must be. It is not optional in declarative sentences. Need a sip of coffee, y'all. One sec. All right. So continuing with our examples, right? Here we have the sentence with our direct object noun, I follow instructions, yo sigo las instrucciones, and then the sentence where the direct object pronoun replaces the direct object noun. You follow them too, right? And here, tú las sigues también, ¿no? And this next thing we're going to talk about is what I already mentioned, noting the difference part 2. Spanish requires both gender and number agreement. Them, the English direct object pronoun, is just plural. We don't have gender for our object pronouns in English. But when they refer to things, people, yes, things, no. When we get to the Spanish, look at what we have here. We have las, and that has both gender and number. It's feminine and it's plural. Of course, because the noun instrucciones has both gender and number, right? If the noun has both gender and number, the pronoun that replaces it has to have both gender and number too, and they have to match. So instrucciones, like all words that have singular forms that end in C-I-O accent mark N, it's feminine. All of them in the language are. So we have feminine, and then, of course, instrucciones is plural. So feminine and plural, las. Okay? Okay. Let's go back then to the transitive verb sentences that started this explanation, right? And we have direct object nouns and pronouns still bolded in red. So again, we're going to notice that when we have a direct object noun, the word order in Spanish and English is the same. Subject, verb, direct object noun, right? So subject, you, verb, watch, direct object noun, program. Subject, tú, verb, miras, direct object noun phrase, el programa. So program is singular, programa is masculine and singular. Let's look at the same two sentences with direct object pronouns replacing the noun. Here's our English sentence, and note the word order. You watch it, right? Look at our word order. Subject, verb, direct object pronoun after the verb. And notice, program is singular, so direct object pronoun, it is singular too. Now let's see the Spanish. Look at the word order change first, right? It's not the same as English. Spanish is not English. Our word order now is subject, which we can drop, then direct object pronoun, and that direct object pronoun goes before the conjugated verb. It has to, okay? So tú lo miras, never tú miras lo. Please do not import English word order for Spanish direct object pronoun sentences. It's not going to work. And then notice programa, like almost all three-syllable and above words in Spanish that ends in AMA is actually masculine. It really, truly is. So this noun that we're going to replace with a pronoun is both masculine and singular. And so we need lo. Lo is our masculine, singular, direct object pronoun that means it. Got it? Got it? Got what? It. It is a direct object pronoun in that sentence. Grammar, it's everywhere. I love it. Okay. So let's practice a little bit. And this is more of what we're going to be doing in exams and with exercises in both Connect and your textbook. So in the question below, which is all in Spanish, we're going to work in Spanish now because this is Spanish class. The direct object noun is bolded in red. Okay, and all you need to do is choose which of our four direct object pronouns we're working with right now, which is lo or la or los or las. Which one should replace it in the answer? All right, so we have the question, ¿Quieres beber vino? And we know that our direct object noun is vino, and we want to replace it, and it will come live in front of the conjugated verb in the answer right here. So the first thing we need to notice is that vino is masculine and singular. So my question for you is, which direct object pronoun agrees in gender and in number and can replace it? Is that lo or la or los or las? Did you pick masculine singular lo? If so, that's right. When we replace a direct object noun with a direct object pronoun in Spanish, it has to agree in both gender and number. Vino is masculine and singular, and so is lo. And look where it went, right? Right before the conjugated verb. Now, if you feel like getting upset now and being like, where's the yo? Where's my subject pronoun? Remember, Spanish is a pro-drop language. Almost anytime it can, it drops your subject pronoun. And of course, when our verb is quiero, like here, the subject is unquestionably yo. It goes without saying. We don't need it. If we keep it, it's extra emphatic. It's like saying, I drink it. And that's not what we want to say here. We just want to say, I drink it. Normal stress, nothing emphatic. If we were going to be emphatic, the yo would go right after the C, and it would be si, yo lo quiero beber. But again, it's not normal or natural to keep the subject pronoun yo in this sentence. Spanish is pro-drop. the thing you have to remember about direct object pronoun placement in Spanish is that it belongs immediately before the conjugated verb. And that's where we see the lo in this sentence, immediately before conjugated quiero. Sí, lo quiero beber is the correct replacement, okay? Let's try another one. Again, in our sentence, we've got our direct object noun phrase bolded in red, and you're going to choose which of our 4 direct object pronouns, either lo or la or los or las, can and should replace this direct object in the answer, okay? So here's our question. ¿Quién prepara las hamburguesas? And the answer is going to be Eloy, and then we're going to put our direct object pronoun, and here's our conjugated verb, prepara. All we need to do this is not translate anything to English. Just focus on your direct object noun and ask yourself, is that masculine or feminine? And is it singular or plural? Because those are the only questions you need to answer in order to come up with the right direct object pronoun. So, hamburguesas is feminine and plural. Knowing this, do we pick lo, la, los, or las to replace it? Of course, we pick feminine plural las. If hamburguesas is feminine plural, then feminine plural direct object pronoun replaces. That one is las. And our sentence becomes Eloy las prepara. Our direct object pronoun in Spanish belongs immediately before the conjugated verb. And here we can see this full word order easily here. Here's our subject. Here's our direct object pronoun. Here is our conjugated verb. Spanish word order is not English. The sooner you accept this and work with it, the easier this is going to become. The more you fight it and insist on translating everything to English in your head, the more mistakes you're going to make and the more anguish you're going to cause yourself. So don't do it, all right? Remember, direct object pronouns replace direct object nouns. In Spanish, direct object pronouns agree with the nouns that they replace, both in gender and in number. And unlike in English, direct object pronouns in Spanish go before the conjugated verb. And that's what you've got to know. Let's try one more. So we have this sentence, compras leche con frecuencia, and we can see because it's bolded up, because I'm still helping you, that our direct object noun is leche. And when we answer this question, we're going to replace leche with its direct object pronoun, and we're going to say, sí, correct direct object pronoun, and then conjugated verb, and then the rest of the sentence, okay? The only thing we have to ask ourselves here is leche masculine or feminine, and is it singular or plural, right? It's feminine and singular. So, between our possible direct object pronouns, lo, la, los, or las, which is the only one that agrees in both gender and number and can replace this noun? And of course, it's feminine singular la, right? Perfect. And so what belongs in this wonderful exclusive space right before the conjugated verb? The direct object pronoun la. And again, if you're getting upset, you're like, where's the yo? Spanish is a pro-drop language. The subject of compro is unambiguously yo. It truly does go without saying. We don't include the yo here. To include it makes our sentence unintentionally emphatic, as though I were saying, yes, I buy it every week. And that's not what I mean to say. I just want to say, yes, I buy it every week. No extra emphasis. We achieve this by not including the subject pronoun when it's not necessary. If for some reason I wanted to include a yo, then it goes right in this space before the direct object pronoun. right? The subject comes before the direct object pronoun. The conjugated verb comes after it. And here, we're just dropping our subject because we don't need the subject pronoun yo. But if we wanted to, it would be si yo, right here, la compro cada semana. But again, can't say this often enough, and I know I just said it a ton, that yo is not necessary or desirable. What belongs before the conjugated verb here is the direct object pronoun that agrees with and is replacing the direct object noun leche. So, question, ¿compras leche con frecuencia? Answer, sí, la compro cada semana. Okay? If you focus on the gender and number of your direct object noun, you will be able to produce the direct object pronoun correctly every single time. So please, trust the Spanish, stay in Spanish, don't go back and forth from Spanish to English. That's not going to help you. I know this might seem difficult, but if you just accept it as it is, you will be able to master this. All right? Thank you very much, guys. Hasta luego. Ciao.